Oh.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the part-time adventurer, and with me, as always, is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we're continuing with our October theme of Scream Festival of scary-ish movies. This one with still cannibal overtones, but in liquid form. Today we have acquiesced to the request of our wives and watched the Hocus Pocus movies.
Hold on, wait a second. Are you saying that we only did this as a request for the wives?
I mean, for like 50% of the listeners, I would say.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, I did tell my wife that, all right, good night. I'm going to go shred this movie to bits. So I'm going to show my hand a little bit here.
Which version? Which one? Do you want to shred 30 years ago or do you want to shred today?
You might be surprised with
I don't think
my
I will be. I think that we're usually pretty aligned. You know why? Because Katie Holmes is in this movie. So we're not going to argue much.
if she was, then it would be hands down one of the worst movies.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
All right. So, when and where did you see Hocus Pocus and or the sequel?
In my living room over the last 3 days.
Is it your first time watching these movies?
My first that I can remember, my first full viewing of both.
Okay. So you've had partial viewings in the past, though.
My wife likes the movie, which is, why we're talking about the movie. Just like your wife likes the movie. But yeah, no, I've never been like, I want to watch Hocus Pocus.
So let me ask you this. Were there any times throughout prior to actually watching the movie that you were just like, I'm not going to see this. This doesn't interest me whatsoever.
Yes, there was a time. And I'll tell you when exactly I had an opportunity to sit quietly and watch this film and did not. And I specifically remember, and I can share this with you and, the 3 people that listen to our podcast. Back in the day, it used to be not cool. It used to be a thing when you were in like band or marching band or something to go on excursions. And normally to bring a large group of children somewhere, your excursions would take place if you went to a well-funded enough school on a bus that had TVs on it. And if you had a chill enough person running the show, requests would be taken for films. So we did, I don't remember what it was. I don't remember if it was like marching band or what it was, but we did something around Halloween and everybody brought Halloween movies, which is where I saw the first 2 Halloween movies. Watch those. But somebody also brought Hocus Pocus. I was not interested in watching Hocus Pocus.
And this is in high school?
I believe it was in high school.
Who the hell was going to bring that for a movie to watch in high school?
Dude, you better watch out. We'll lose a listener because I guarantee my wife would have brought that movie.
Or better yet,
guaranteed.
Even
in the clamshell. High. In the clamshell, bro.
In junior high, who the hell would have brought Halloween?
Yeah, it's one or the other.
It doesn't make sense to me. So quick story. I'm going to do a random alert here, but true story. For some of those trips, you know what movies that we watched on those movies?
It better not be like Girls trips? Gone Wild or something with your all-boys school.
Somewhat close, but not really, not even close. But it was Goodfellas, Happy Gilmore.
You went like Goodfellas on a band trip? That's amazing.
Oh yeah, man! Like
irresponsible fucking people were you with?
Scent of a Woman,
Wow.
Goodfellas. There was like a bona fide
I
cinephile.
feel like Scent of a Woman is appropriate for the all boys orchestra.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
We were, and then someone, you know what? Someone else brought in WCW when Goldberg lost his first match. So if you could imagine that we're like, oh, we just finished Godfather. Oh, we just finished Goodfellas. What are we gonna put on next? Oh, we're gonna put on WCW
Professional wrestling.
Bash at the Beach or whatever the fuck it was where Goldberg lost.
I mean, I did used to bring my N64 on band trips, and we definitely played WCW NWO Revenge
Oh, good game.
ad nauseum. And then WrestleMania 2000, because same controls, just different rosters.
I'm sorry, I digress from our
Why we were
really.
talking about things that were good.
But Hocus Pocus. All right, so you talked a little bit about your origin. So I've never seen this movie until this past
We're
weekend or
same.
whatever it
We're
was.
same.
Um,
You seem so thrilled that you took the time.
I'm at this point. I've watched so many goddamn movies that I'll watch whatever. It's like I'll watch the 1930s, 40s, 50s, whatever, the old movies that are supposed to be classics. I'll watch them. I'll watch the cult classics. I'll watch the movies that are bad. One movie I will never watch again, but I did give it an attempt, was your Nothing But Trouble movie.
Oh, that movie's amazing.
Shout out to Tupac Shakur and Digital Underground.
Yes.
Those roles in the movies. But yeah, I'd never cared about this movie, and the reasoning as to why is, for anyone that's listened to the previous episodes, I never really watched children movies, and so I put that in quotes. But I think it's fair to say that the first Hocus Pocus is a children's movie, right?
I mean,
That's
they
not a
try and
stretch.
eat children in that movie.
But there's children with stellar acting that just execute and deliver
I don't think
Oscar-worthy
there's
lines.
stellar acting anywhere.
You're wrong, Mark,
Mm.
because this is a classic movie
No.
and everyone loves it.
It's a mhm.
But the only exposure that I got to this, and I didn't really understand it. I never really heard about it growing up. Maybe it's just because I just turned a blind eye to stuff. But my wife would talk about, she would say that one Bette Midler line that at the time I had no idea what she was talking about. It's like, another glorious morning makes me sick. I'm just like, what? But apparently that's a thing that people love to quote from that movie.
Is it?
I guess there's like T-shirts, there's memes, there's my wife that says that every now and then. So
I've that's a new one on me, my friend.
I'm sure your wife, if she's a fan of the movie, she's said it. I'm sure she has.
Not that I caught, but
You probably were like, whatever, that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it's stupid.
Moving on.
Stupid.
Yeah, someone's negative. Someone's got a case of the Mondays. Yeah, go on.
No, I think that the first movie reeks of 90s decadence in that they got actors that were, I think good or great actors in both big and little parts, and they did a thing, and it was good, and we enjoyed it, and it was fun. It was fun to see what went on there.
Wait,
I
are you
thought.
talking about like Empire Records or some other
No,
movie right now?
I know I'm talking about the fact that you got a ton of actors that went on to do great things that put together a mediocre movie. And that was such a 90s trend. I mean, Bette Midler in and of herself, you can't disrespect Bette Midler in a big bad way. But she just, this was like a big steaming pile of Bette. But you got like Tora Birch, who went on to be in like American Beauty and all of these like serious kind of angsty movies as she got older. You had Sarah Jessica Parker, who basically played a moron in this movie, who was not nobody. Kathy Najimy. I always mispronounce her name, but I love her in Sister Act. If she's not in the new one, I'm gonna be really pissed off and turn it off, because it wasn't Whoopi that carried that movie. It was that happy nun.
Yeah, she was. I believe it's pronounced Kathy Najimy. I could be wrong too, but yeah, I did like her in Sister Act. That was actually one of my mom's and grandma's favorite movies, and I actually didn't mind it.
I celebrate both of them, Sister Act 1 and 2.
Yeah, hey man, back in the habit.
That's it. That's it. The miseducation of Whoopi Goldberg in that movie there.
Exactly.
In that movie. Talk about a band trip. But then there was also the 90s heartthrob who really was nobody and didn't end up in any other movies. And was it Omri Katz? The dude who was real slick with the lighter he stole.
Pretty sure he played for the Bulls, right? Omri Caspi. That's
someone. He was not that. This guy wasn't as tall.
Wait, Omri Caspi is a different basketball player. He wasn't on the Bulls.
Different guy. But I love that this guy was trying to be Judd Nelson in a way, like with the hair and the lighter and the rebel. It's like, wow, you're not Judd Nelson, dude. Just stop. Just stop.
Can I just say that those child actors sucked so much ass that I had a hard time watching this movie. It was awful.
What? You didn't enjoy Vinessa Straw? Because that's what her name is spelled, like Vinessa. Vinessa Shaw didn't do it for you? Well, she wasn't a heartthrob of, what she didn't have is great bangs. Bangs are what was necessary in the 90s. And
I think she may have been too hot for Omri Caspi.
But he could really handle a lighter, Dan. Man, that little virgin could light up anything.
Oh gosh.
And I just want to ask about something, about an intersection of Christianity and devil worship. And did they celebrate Omari's virginity in this movie while also using his celibacy to summon demons? Is that what happened?
I don't know if they necessarily celebrated it. They just happened to be a virgin.
But they didn't make fun of him.
Right. They totally downplayed the fact that he was
like, oh, he's just a virgin. Like, I can't remember any other 90s movie where it wasn't where there wasn't bullying involved in that situation.
I mean, you had grown women threatening to eat children. So, I mean, if that's not a form of bullying, I don't know what is.
They weren't eating. They were drinking. They drank and then they sucked.
Tell that to the victim of Jeffrey Dahmer if that's not eating them.
Oh, that's a different kind of simmer.
Speaking of, man, that's like they're people that are trying to remove that from Netflix or ban it or boycott it. And
there's a young lady in Texas who is trying to boycott the second Hocus Pocus movie because it teaches children about witchcraft and demons. And that's not Christian.
I was talking about like something good though. I was talking about the Dahmer Netflix TV show that people are trying to boycott that, which I get, I understand. Especially
people ruin everything.
I know.
People ruin the book that OJ wrote about how I would have done it. I was gonna buy the shit out of that book. I just wanted to read him say, I would have stabbed her with a knife in my left hand with really nice plush leather gloves on that would have shrunk when I put them in the dryer or the sun so as that they would dry from all of the blood.
I have a feeling that impression just went on a little too long, but I'm going to make that into like a 10-second clip and use that to advertise for the podcast episode.
You know what's really funny is I don't think that sounds anything like OJ.
It's just like
wait. if we're going to advertise for the podcast, you know what we really need to do? We need to get on Cameo. And we need to just order OJ plugging our podcast.
Oh my God.
And then you could do a side by side with my OJ and the real OJ.
I might want to do that.
And then we could just, and then the headline was the juice worse the squeeze.
Ooh. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. OJ, I know that you're listening. You ain't got nothing else to do. We're not even going to do it as a cameo. Let's just do this. Let's partner up. I Can Do This All Day podcast, partnering up with OJ Simpson. Let's make it happen. Let's give the people what they want. Our international listeners and all of our lady listeners.
I'm looking.
Would love to have the juice.
The juice is not on Cameo. And I think it's because the juice can't earn money like real people, because
he needs to. What are you talking about, man?
No. He's got an NFL pension, and your pension can't be tapped for civil lawsuits. But if he did Cameo and earned money like a real person, the Goldmans would get that money because they won that civil lawsuit, Dan. But we could get Jose Canseco, the juice, to maybe do an imitation of the juice.
Would love it.
Oh, so excited.
While we're at it, let's just get Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco to plug the podcast.
I don't think Mark McGuire needs to do cameos, but
he is a fan. He's a fan. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
After that whole baseball thing, what else are you going to do? Why not listen to the 238th ranked podcast on Apple? I mean, why not?
238,000.
238th official stats. Got it. 238, man. 238.
You're shitting me.
Thank you to Apple Podcasts and all the people that are supporting us on Apple Podcasts. But let's get back to the nitty gritty and the focus of our Hocus and Pocus. But yeah, man, those child actors in one sucked so much ass. I want to say that again. I know I said it before, but I want to stress it once again that it was just, I don't understand how this was a kid's movie, because you got talking about virgins, you got an 8-year-old girl talking about yabos, you have a siren in it.
What's a yabo? Who uses yabo?
What? Are you kidding me? One of the funniest lines from Animal House. Otter totally said that.
Did he?
Oh, she has a couple of major league yabos. Oh my God. Like one of the funniest lines in that movie. But the fact that Thora Birch, who at the time was probably like, I think in the movie she's 8 years old, says yabos, was probably the only funny thing in that movie to me, from the first one. So,
okay.
Yeah. But that's what I just really disliked the acting. The acting was piss poor. The one thing that I really did like was Sarah Jessica Parker in that. The fact that she's so dumb, and she's a man eater, essentially. She is like all about it. She wants the men. So good for her in that role and not being slut shamed. However, I am going to talk about that in the second one. But any other thoughts on the first one?
I would say that the song in the first one, the Broadway act in the first one, was way better than the second one.
It was
and
better.
It just kind of worked for me. I dug the fact that parents were partying. Like, I would go to that party and just, like, where are those parties now? Why are there not more community funded ragers where I can leave my latchkey kids at home and go dress up as, Skanky Madonna and dance the night away?
Wait, I'm confused. So that was in the first one?
That was in the first one.
And that's when they like danced all night long, right?
Because they were hypnotized to do so.
Why did I think that was in the second one? Huh. Are you sure?
Oh, I'm sure.
What was the thing with the parents in the second one then?
They hunted down the mayor
Oh yeah,
who was getting an affy-tapple,
and nothing
basically.
happened with it. Just like
Nothing. No, they tag, you're it. We're done here.
so dumb. Um, but I will say that yeah, the musical number made more sense in the first one, did not make sense in the second movie because but I'm glad that they called it out. You know, like the fact that one of the kids said like, "Why are they singing?" You know, I thought that that was funny. So I thoroughly enjoyed the second one a whole lot more because they didn't have shitty childhood actors. I thought they were very real and they did a good job. So um, the three girls, let me take a look at the names. You got Whitney Peak as Becca. You got I don't know. So I was impressed and relieved the fact that they had better childhood actors and younger actors in those roles. She might have been like 27 though,
Yeah,
playing a
like better. Better is relative because in general, I enjoyed the movie's supposed to be a little campy. Though I don't know. It's such a trade-off for me. All of the asides and the Scooby-Doo moments in the first one, like them showing up to Gary Marshall's house and Penny Marshall's there and they call her Medusa, like, and Gary Marshall's just hanging out,
it was funny.
right? Like
It's funny.
it was really fun. And you're just like, that, hey, huh? That guy fucking made Happy Days. I mean,
And which
and
one
then
was she? Was she Laverne or Shirley?
she was Laverne.
Okay.
She was Laverne, and she was, the first female actor or the first female director to have two Academy Award nominated performances because she's awesome.
Fantastic.
Penny Marshall, huge bucket of wind. Um, Sad R.I.P. R.I.P. Penny Marshall, but yeah, loved that. I thought that some of the mom from Great Outdoors was in it. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first cameos. The second one, um, Hannah Waddingham, amazing, was in it. Not enough though.
Not
Why was
enough.
she only in it at the beginning? Why didn't she come to save them later? I felt that the end of the second one was just too easy. Like, oh, the book worked against her. You made the book mad.
Well, they totally SJW'd this movie. You knew that the sisters were not going to be 100% evil. They were going to be painted in the light of, oh, they're victims of circumstance, so they're really not all that bad. So, and I knew that that was going to be the case before I even turned it on. It's like, well, you know what? We're in 2022. I doubt they're just going to be cannibalistic witches. They're going to do some type of spin on this. And you know what? I'm gonna bet money that they're gonna make them likable characters or more likable than just the goofy witches that they were before.
I did like the prequel, like the introduction, if you will, where they gave you the history and they gave you Easter eggs and she still had the messed up teeth and hair. Like, I thought that child actress was very good.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite one, the one that played young Winifred. But I don't know. It just felt like second-rate Stranger Things actors. The three witches. The other, I loved that they had to make it another covenant.
They were better actors than the first movie. The first movie was awful in terms of acting. Awful.
The second one was much better.
It was 1,000 times better. And I
Mm.
made notes of it as to why I thought it was better. So, just first off, when you say second rate Stranger Things, that is way better than the majority of all sitcom television. So, I would be perfectly fine with saying second rate Stranger Things because a lot of sitcom TV, a lot of movies have shit actors. A majority of movies have shit actors. So, I will totally go and say Hocus Pocus 2, acting so much better. And good for you all. But in regards to like some of the different notes that I had, I want to talk about this really, really quick. So, I already talked about how they were going to be more likable in the second one. That was just like, okay, we need to have them be the focal point, and that's the reason why we're making this movie 29 years later. Great. Um, the
Hurry
candle.
up, Bette Midler's
I,
getting old. Is that
I
what you're
want it.
saying?
No, I'm just saying like they don't have original thoughts at the moment, and so like, hey, let's bring back. I mean, that's not a secret. I mean, look, they did Top Gun Maverick, which was one of the best movies of the summer of the year, actually, and that's not a really you know groundbreaking premise. It was Star Wars. It's not so much an
I
original
told you it
thought.
was.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's not because Bette Midler's old. It's because you know what? They're gonna have that shit. And the fact that the people that are going to see movies or pay the subscriptions for streaming, that is going to be the age of the people that watch that shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fucking Three Ninjas Reborn or some
Bro,
shit.
I'd be here for it.
I would hate it
I
because I
would be
never
here
saw the
for it.
other
I'd want to
ones.
watch the first ones. Give me another Surf Ninjas. Give me a Camp Nowhere 2. Like, let's go. What else can we reboot?
I'm
What
fine
di-
with reboots. I really don't have a problem with reboots. I'm not one of the people that
well,
are like,
sequels. I
oh,
don't like the reboot. I like the sequel. I
reboot
want
sequels,
I like
whatever.
the same actors coming back and redoing the thing. Like I again, I loved seeing the three Sanderson sisters back as the same people. Thing that kills me is when they recast people.
You know what kills me is when they take the most likable or interesting characteristic and they just throw it out. And that one characteristic was Sarah Jessica Parker's sluttiness and man craziness, and the absence of that in Hocus Pocus 2, because that was so funny and it was very, likable for that character because it wasn't like slutty in the sense that she's like a streetwalker. Here's $50, let's go. It was the like she's boy crazy. So maybe I'm using the wrong adjectives here,
Well,
but
this was a story led by powerful young women, young
you
witches,
can be powerful and still
and
be
still
boy
be a
crazy.
faux show. What?
I mean, it's all about empowerment, right? There's no such thing. It's bad to slut shame now. It's okay to slut shame men, but it is bad to slut shame women. So, and I'm fine with that. That's perfectly fine. But that is one of the things that was the most likable characteristic about that character before. And so I noticed that there's something missing here. Like, I don't,
I thought she
there's,
was just kind of a dumbass.
she is. She absolutely is. But every time there was a guy in the first one, and I'm not going to rewatch the first one, but that's just the thing that I picked up. Like, oh, that's cute. That's so funny that she's always just crazy about guys. And if there's a guy on screen, she's going to go after him. And there was like a tiny, tiny bit of it, and it was like alluded to that, but they didn't really do that. And I don't know. I think that was a mistake on that part, but hey, it's just I'm just one person that's not a fan of the series, so I'm okay with it. Um, did you notice that the candle was oddly shaped?
It looked like a big turd.
I was gonna say
It was
something
it
else.
was Mr. Hanky the Christmas candle.
I was thinking Ghostbusters 2. I mean, it looked like a dick.
Oh, it looked like it. No,
It
what the
totally looked like a
Dan?
dick.
Dan, you should go get that looked at if you think that looked like a dick. Like
Oh
you,
man,
you should go get an exam.
it
You
it
should go
totally looked like
go get
one.
that looked at.
Why was
No
it
no
so
dick should
weird
look like that.
shaped?
Obviously, because he was a really poor candle maker.
Guy likes what he likes, and he shaped it the way he wanted to shape it, I guess. And we are talking about the second one, so
I wonder what the third candle looks like, the one in the box in the post-credit scene.
yeah, didn't watch that. Didn't care to see it. So
the only thing that bothered me about the second one, they jumped right in the song and it was bad. Like nobody needs to hear an Elton John cover. Sing this. There's so many other witch movies or witch songs, right? But I would. What was the deal with the black cat?
no reason for the cat to be there.
And then the cat's guarding the candle at the end, but why?
No reason.
It made no sense.
Just like Billy Butcherson, who was like they've got like merchandise, dolls. We have like a dancing Billy Butcherson around here somewhere. There's no purpose for that character. None whatsoever.
In
it
which
doesn't
movie?
drive anything.
In which movie?
Both.
Well, in the
It's
second one, they
completely
need the
useless.
head of the lover. And
They could
in
have-
the first one, they needed
A red
somebody,
herring.
somebody to chase them down. And
Yeah.
somebody that would listen to, Big Red.
But really, he was just a red herring, a creepy looking MacGuffin that there was really no point to. Like, it didn't drive the story. It did not drive the story. Really cool merchandising. It made me somewhat interested to see the movie because, like, oh man, this guy's gonna fuck shit up. No, he's a good guy, and he just had his mouth sewn shut.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, it's the same thing as the lighter in the first one. Was I the only person that thought that the book looked a lot like the Necronomicon from Evil Dead?
I sort of thought that.
Like you
I
brought
sorta
the
thought
book
that.
to life. Like Sam Raimi should have got a check for that.
Did it occur to you that the book looked like it just had a poopy eye?
Poopy eye.
It really did. Like it just looked like there was an eyeball inside of someone's rectum because it just looked dirty and just the way that they had it. It's like,
Well, it
I
had
don't
an
know.
eyelid at least. It had an eyelid. It could blink its
did.
brown eye.
Yeah.
But I want to know why dude had a Hannibal Lecter mask over the eye. Like the eye had a mouth.
Because I think that's just, just by association. Oh, it's a badass book. It's creepy.
And did you notice how the proximity of the Sanderson house to the center of town just continued to be shifted forward? Like it was just like right there.
Yeah. Conveniently located. Very conveniently located.
In the beginning, it was nowhere near town. And then, it's in town.
Yeah. Hey, it's a 90s movie. Not known for the details in the 90s.
No details. No deets. No deets.
I did want to talk really quick. I thought it was really funny in the second movie where the Becca, I believe it is, the main character, the girl, brings them to Walgreens and shows them the whole like anti-aging section where like the lotions. I thought that was pretty clever and pretty
child
positive.
mask.
Yeah.
I thought it was really clever how they continued the cleaning products riding the broom joke from the first one, which was funny. She got in a vacuum, and then they added a Swiffer that blew bubbles and 2 Roombas.
Yeah.
And then like they did the salt circle thing, and I'm like, wow, like this is and then the Roomba showed up, and I thought that was great. I'm like, talk about a way to continue the joke.
Yeah.
I love a good joke continuation when it just there's another layer. Layers get me. Not a lot of layers in the first one. Not many layers.
And the layers that it did have, it wasn't put together that well. It wasn't like a really good onion. It was like a bloomin' onion kind of chopped up,
Yeah.
shared
Yeah.
amongst the table, and not really cohesive.
Ran out of
So,
dipping sauce halfway through.
I want to talk about about the bloomin' onion and Outback really quick. So,
I'm scared to ask.
when Outback first came out, were you or your family like, hey, we need to go to Outback and check this place out?
Never.
It's a new place.
Never.
No?
I didn't go to Outback until I was paying the bill.
Okay.
So I was in my 20s, maybe. Like when it was just like, no, Outback. And I'm good.
Back in the 90s when chain restaurants were good,
And
deemed good.
Bennigan's was the spot.
Right. So like when I thought about Outback, like you saw all these catchy, awesome Australian accents in the commercial and stuff. And when my parents said like, let's go to Outback, like, whoa, we must have gotten a bonus or something because
We're
we're
rich.
balling. We're going to Outback. Yeah.
We're rich. We're gonna eat the fucking the ankle bone of this cow because that's what they serve at Outback. The grade D fucking steaks.
Oh, not bad. Outback's not bad. I really don't mind. No problem. I'll get Outback. Outback, if you want to sponsor, holler at your boy.
I'll take the sponsorship, but I'll pass the bloomin' onion on to Dan.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna say that I'm more of a Texas Roadhouse guy. Roadhouse.
Can't complain there. Great place.
They have bread.
Yeah.
I'd rather eat their bread than a bloomin' onion.
Agreed. I think that's safe to say.
When was the first time you had a bloomin' onion?
It was at that Outback when I was.
When you were a child.
Yeah.
When you ate it, did you feel the same taste of undercooked batter and disappointment that I did the first time I tried one?
No, it was actually really good. It wasn't until well into my 30s that the more I got the bloomin' onion, it was like, wow, this really sucks.
It's making something bloom.
Yeah, it's just like a wedge of batter just thrown onto an onion, and yeah, nah. But I get it, undercooked. That could certainly sour and definitely not make you want to put a shrimp on the Barbie. That's for sure.
It's the wedge salad of fried of fried hors d'oeuvres. It's like lazy.
You lazy bastards! But it's so cool presentation wise for a wedge salad, isn't it? Like it just seems so cool. Here's this hunk of shit. And let's put some dressing on there, and you're gonna enjoy it. $14.99.
Spicy French.
Yeah, exactly. You want a salad? Wedge salad, bitch. Try it out.
Done.
Yeah.
How much is a head of lettuce? 49 cents. I'm gonna charge $14.97 for this.
Damn
Here's a wedge, some terrible blue cheese dressing, some pre-cooked bacon crumbles, and half of a tomato.
Oh man.
Go to town, baby.
Yeah.
Go to town. Some diced cold cut ham as well.
Ooh. Ham on salad's the worst.
Oh man.
Or if it's like, even if it's diced is better than like long strips of ham. Like it's like confetti, like pork confetti just put on your salad. Like get the fuck out of here. There's no way.
So what you're saying is, as the Sanderson sisters enjoy children, you enjoy small pieces of pork as opposed to long stringy pieces of pork.
I don't like ham. I'm not a fan of ham. And if you put
what
that
about
on salad,
the rum ham?
I mean, I'll eat whatever, right?
You wouldn't eat a rum ham?
If a rum ham is sitting right there in front of me and there's like a piece of fried chicken, I'm going to the fried chicken.
Oh, gotta go with the rum ham. And I hope you get that Always Sunny reference of the rum ham.
I did not. And
Oh,
so
mm.
I just assumed that you were talking about like a honey baked ham and like
No,
something.
no.
I don't know if this was like
Danny DeVito's character in this movie, and we're getting way, way off topic.
I'm
Even though
perfectly fine
Danny
with that.
DeVito would have made one of these movies better. If
Oh, yeah.
Danny DeVito played Billy Butcherson, fuck, these movies would have been great.
He could have played Winifred. He would have been making the movie better.
No, you can't take Bette Midler out.
Yes, you can. Yes,
No.
you can.
No.
He did a good job, but I just don't give a fuck, a flying hocus pocus fuck about this movie.
Wait. Let me ask you this. It's not just all hocus pocus to you. Talk about the quintessential 90s move of just dropping the name of the movie right in front of the audience at the denouement, at the point, at the switch. It's just like,
I like when they do that in movies, and then I'll always turn to my wife. I love it when they do that, just because I like turning to whoever I'm watching the movie with and just be like, yeah, see what they did there? Yeah.
you also like the fourth wall, right?
I do.
Like in Wayne's World where they stop and they look at you
It's like
and then they come back.
Yeah. It's the best. Fourth wall breaks are awesome. And yeah. But anyways, let's get back to what the listeners really want, or at least a few of our listeners really, really want.
A few.
Hocus Pocus. Let's talk a little bit more. So come on, let's dive right in. Let's let the healing begin. Come on, let's talk more about this cinematic masterpiece.
The healing. This cut deep. So let's cut to the chase here. We've talked about one, we've talked about two, we've kind of overlapped them a little bit. Do you have a feeling about one versus another one? Is there like, does one stand out to you as better, as worse? It sounds like you have some bias.
I've got a ton of, not even bias, just 100% fact that Hocus Pocus 2 is a better, more put together, more entertaining, more believable movie than Hocus Pocus 1. The acting's better. The child actors are better. The overall theme of it was more put together. So I was like, okay, I can believe, you have the sisters being the outcasts. Because before they were just bitches just to be bitches, right? Like they're Salem witches. They're just out to do some messed up stuff. But here you get a little bit of backstory as to like, oh, here's why. So I'm like, okay, I can understand this a little bit more, because in the 90s movie, it was just take some of this, some of that. Let's put it together. Here you go, Hollywood.
Well, in the 90s movie, it was witches are bad. In this movie, it was, no, these witches are bad, but these little witches are okay. And the little witches beat the old witches, and we're done here.
Right.
And they'll be back because there's a candle.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully this one's not shaped like a dick.
I have no guarantees.
Actually, you know what? Now, if it is shaped like one, I'll probably come back for it.
So, yeah, no.
Just so I can talk about it on the next podcast.
You want Hocus Penis. That's what you want.
Yes, there you go.
That's what you want. That's. I feel like they made that somewhere in the 90s. I feel like there's a very specific website you can go and look for that. And just make sure the kids are asleep, please, for their therapy bills. They're already watching too many violent movies.
Not to say that I did a Google search of that, but I'm going to assume that there is, just based off of the headlines.
I would not be at all surprised.
And I don't know if it's geared towards certain genders at all or anything, but I know we do have a majority female audience. So if you're a Hocus Pocus fan you might want to take a look at the extended Hocus Pocus universe out there. You just explore explore your options and
Wow.
take a look.
Way to encourage the audience to wave their magic wands.
It's just making sure that people go out and watch cinema of all kinds, because without all of those different types of cinema, we can't be doing
We wouldn't have the internet, and we wouldn't have a podcast.
we wouldn't have the 238th rated podcast on Apple.
I do not believe that number at all, but
I'll send you the email confirmation of it.
Dude, send it.
In all seriousness, yeah, that is my opinion, based off of my observation and my critical eye of both of these movies. What about you, man? What did you think about going into this, and was your expectation or result of viewing the movie any different of what you thought?
So normally I like the original more than the sequel, and I too enjoyed 2 a smidge more. There were things in 2 that annoyed me, like the dude in 2 that was suffering from
really?
CTE in a big bad way because he was such a moron. I said that the musical number in 2, like, you didn't need to rip off Elton John. You literally could have done the same song and everybody would have ate it up. I mean, Top Gun did it. Same song. Everybody ate it up.
True.
So I think that if you cut pieces of 1 and 2 together, you'd have a really good movie.
Fair enough. I think there are some bright spots to 1. I agree with you, but I think as a whole, when you put all that together as a whole, it's not 2 is not a smidge better than the first one. It's just I can't see how some people think that's the case. And going to some of the different ratings, because I was under the impression that, like, I guess everyone loves Hocus Pocus and it's like revered by everyone. Looking back at the IMDb rating and the Rotten Tomatoes rating and Metacritic, it's 6.9 on IMDb, which is respectable. That's not a bad rating. Rotten Tomatoes, 39%. And then Metacritic 43 out of 100, which was really surprising.
Or on 1?
On 1.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
I feel like I could take these 2 movies, cut them together to, say, 2 hours and 10 minutes and make a really good episodic, maybe 2, 3. I could make 6 awesome TV episodes out of this.
Sure.
Cut out the virgin parts, cut out the weird shoe stealing bully guys. There's a lot of things that if you cut it out, you could make a great 6 episode Marvel TV run out of it, and it'd be pretty good.
Cut out the reference of the 8-year-old saying yabos. I bet that would make the cut. Or should have been cut.
Yeah. And no offense to whatever her name was.
Thora Birch?
No, not Thora Birch. Vinessa.
I'm sure she pronounced it Vanessa.
Well, Vinessa. I mean, let's be honest. Thora Birch doesn't know what a nice set of wabos is.
Oh man. She was on The Walking Dead on the last season.
Vinessa or Thora Birch?
Thora Birch.
I was upset that how do they not get Thora Birch to come back?
I was expecting like some older cameo, like the kids are like, Sanderson sisters are back again. I better help out, get rid of them.
You know what I did enjoy is that they put the costumes in the movie. Like, somebody in the new movie was wearing the old Madonna costume. Somebody was watching the original movie in this movie. They Spaceballs the shit out of that.
They did.
Right?
I made a few notes of that like, yeah, there's some meta references in there as well. So yeah. But hey, it's fun. I like I said, I enjoyed the second one.
It's a good family Halloween movie where nobody really eats anybody. They just try then suck them up like spaghetti.
Hmm. With the third one, I mean, would you want to watch the third one and do an episode?
I would be impressed if Bette Midler lived to do a third one. She's 77. That's why.
Yeah,
Like,
she
if
does,
she
and she
keeps
looks pretty
going,
good.
I mean, she did. She looked great. She performed wonderfully. You put Bet out there. I don't think you can do these back to back. And I don't
Yeah.
think you can have a Hocus Pocus movie without the Sanderson sisters.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, where do they come back, and why do they come back?
I understand. I'm with you. Um, I'm not. No offense to Hannah Waddingham, who I love. Ted Lasso, amazing. She is a revelation. But I'm not here to see the Stranger Things Pennywise knockoff witches versus Hannah Waddingham. I have no emotional attachment to that. It has nothing to do with the original Hocus Pocus. It'd be like Home Alone 4. Look, it's a new kid. I don't give a fuck.
I wouldn't be opposed to it just because I probably won't watch it anyways. But if they want
Oh
to
well, I
continue
mean,
the lore,
there's a ton of stuff that I would watch, but
yeah,
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a. Um, but Hannah Waddingham, so good for her for bringing the sexiness to the witches because they didn't let Sarah Jessica Parker, or maybe she didn't want to portray her character as like the sexy ditz at all because they covered up that cleavage way more than they did in the first movie. And then Hannah Waddingham was just like, boom, there's my, that's what they did on that.
I don't think you fuck with Hannah Waddingham. You just let her do her thing.
But don't you think that was a little interesting? So you give that characteristic to her, but you don't. And like I said, maybe Sarah Jessica Parker didn't want to sexify her character anymore. Maybe she felt that she
Or
didn't want to
she's
do
like
that.
60. Leave her alone.
That's what
Maybe
I'm
she's
saying. Like,
allergic to the adhesive in the duct tape after all those years on Sex in the City.
I don't know, man.
Stop staring at Sarah Jessica Parker's wabos.
That's yabos.
Whatever.
Yabos. Major League Yabos.
Oh no.
According to Otter from
Those
Animal House.
yabos belong to Ferris Bueller. You stop.
Yeah. Well, no,
stop.
But it's just interesting to where they didn't, Hannah Waddingham's just a lot younger. Well, maybe not a lot younger than Sarah Jessica Parker, but she's obviously considerably younger than Bette Midler. But they didn't do any of that like sexual empowerment to the original cast. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't really a whole lot there, which I would have expected for if they were gonna do the whole not reconstitution, but like almost like reimagining or retconning the sisters to be good. Like why can't you still be a flirt and sexy and a good witch? Like even though you're trying to, retcon them into being like good people. I don't know. Like why not?
I think you're really. I'm like stuck on you being mad that Sarah Jessica Parker wasn't flirty.
It's not that I'm mad. It's the fact that they omitted a big part of her character from the first movie. So if you're talking about consistency, yeah, like that's not there. Bette Midler was consistent. Kathy Najimy was not consistent in the sense that I felt like they didn't give her a lot in the second movie. And so that was kind of like a big thing where it's like, oh, so this is the Bette Midler show. That's really what it is. And so
you realize that Bette Midler's the reason that they hadn't made the movie and they had to beg her back.
Yeah. And you know what? Didn't like her in the first one.
Oh, well, I'll tell you a secret. It fucking was the Bette Midler show. Bette Midler's the reason the first one got made. Bette Midler's the reason the second one got made. And if the third one gets made, it'll be because of Bette Midler.
That's fine. But I'm just saying that they did two characters out of the sisters a disservice because they kind of cut their character short.
They were too busy developing the new witches, which I'm sorry. that's the a check in the win column for the first one, because it was kids overcoming witches. This is just, oh, I'm a witch. This was Star Wars: The Force Awakens, basically. You talked about Top Gun being Star Wars. This was The Force Awakens. Oh,
Yeah,
I've got no training, but I'm taking on the most powerful witch in the world.
yeah. As much as I like the second movie better, there are some shortcomings. So the disservice to the sisters, and then of course the inclusion of the Billy Butcherson character, which, yeah, I understand why you need to bring him back, but at the same time, he never served a purpose in the first one, and he kind of didn't really serve a purpose in the second one either. And yeah, the shop owner. And then they're all friends afterwards. They're all friends afterwards. Good for them. All right, so before we wrap things up, we've been talking about a lot of magic, but have you ever tried to do in your younger age, or even maybe even now, have you ever done attempted any magical spells, or attended a seance, or did a Ouija board or anything like that?
No, straight up no. Ouija boards I thought were always just bullshit, because I'm like, but you're pushing it.
Fisher Price.
You're
Yeah.
pushing it. You're pushing it. The closest that I've ever come to that, and I guarantee that other people have done this, and you may have done this as well, is as you walk through the automatic doors at stores, just move your hand. But I don't think that's magic. I think that's the Force.
Yeah, that's certainly, I have done that. That's definitely a Jedi thing. Um, I always wanted to do a Ouija board, but at the same time, I don't know of anyone who would have like a legit Ouija board, not like a Milton Bradley Fisher Price Ouija board, you know? Um, I want to say that I did, or I was there when in high school, a bunch of my friends, I don't know if you're familiar with this, like light as a feather, stiff as a board, where you like say that over and over again, and you put like your fingers underneath someone, and like six of you are standing around the person, and then magically like you lift them up or something like that. Have you ever heard of that?
No, no. Back in my day, where I grew up, it was all about it was all about oh, what was the Bloody Mary, the look
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
mirror thing.
Okay, so the Bloody Mary thing, what was the prerequisite of getting Bloody Mary? Because I'm curious if it's the same
I
thing that.
don't know. I just remember it being a thing, because I lived in like one town over from the cemetery where the person that's like based on was run over.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on.
Resurrection Mary? Like,
Really?
yeah,
I
no,
had
I
no
lived
idea
like
about
one
that.
town over.
Interesting that you say that, because I've never heard of that. And we
Oh, you can
lived.
Google it. You can Google it.
Okay, I'd never heard of that at all. So there's a couple different things that I heard about Bloody Mary. I just heard that if you say Bloody Mary, just the words Bloody Mary, 3 times in a bathroom, something happens. So
Mhm.
that's one number one that I had heard. Then so I tried it when I was like a little kid. It's like, yeah, nothing really happened. Like, oh, you're supposed to say Bloody Mary, I killed your son 10 times. And then what do I do as a kid? Of course, I go to the bathroom and, like, yeah, nothing happened. Oh, you're supposed to light a candle, and then you're supposed to hold the candle up, and then when you blow the candle out, you're gonna see um, Bloody Mary after you say whatever the fuck you say, right? And so it took me maybe like 5 tries after realizing, like, this is a bunch of bullshit. And of course, I was only like 8 or 9 years old or something like that. So,
And
and
then
I
you
got
went
this
back to
all
watching
from.
the Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. And funny thing is, I think I had heard about it in school, and at the time I was in a Catholic grade school. So interesting stuff that you learn in good old St. George Catholic School in Tinley Park.
Yeah, yeah, no. Yeah, Tinley Park, not a haunted place. Not a haunted place. Bridgeview and Justice, a little haunted. But um, I don't think either one of us have had connections with the great beyond. Um,
Wait, wait.
are you going to
You
start
brought.
talking about REM?
I'm gonna talk about two things. So Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Did you ever go to it?
No.
Okay. You should definitely go. It's definitely something interesting. My wife and I went before we moved to Florida, and it was just really, really old, run down. Nothing really to look at, but there's a bunch of people there like during the day where they're trying to catch like paranormal activity. For all those who aren't familiar with Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, it is a supposed haunted cemetery where I used to live in the Chicagoland area. And apparently, there's been a lot of documented uh, weird hauntings and stuff there. But so that's one thing. So you never been there? Definitely try and check it out, especially during the Halloween season. Go when it's the daytime though. Don't be an asshole and go there and desecrate the graves at nighttime, just like what everyone else did. But I want to tell you about, let me ask you before we go, what about any type of ghost type experiences?
I've had one weird feeling, but nothing like crazy.
Would you
Nothing
like,
in nothing in the situations like where you're supposed to, like, oh, I went to an old jail or a mental institution or the cemetery, or I saw Resurrection Mary walking down the street. For those of you that don't know that one, that's very Googleable. Also, a Chicagoland uh, ghost story, I guess. But um, I don't know. Have you ever been to DC, like
yeah.
Washington DC?
Hmm.
Did you ever do the Ford's Theater tour?
I want to say I did, but I was in like eighth grade when I went.
So I did it as an adult with my wife, and they take you like through Ford's Theater, out the back to the house across the street, and they take you through like the last hours of Lincoln's life, and they take you to the room where he died,
Oh,
and it
okay.
just is like a different kind of cold, and just it just had a different amount of feel to it. I don't have a way to describe it, but it was just like a something happened here kind of thing.
So almost like
Wasn't scary, just
unsettling.
substantial. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a scary thing. It was just like you're standing in a place where history has occurred. Like there's definitely something going on here.
Interesting, interesting. So there's one thing that a couple times that I've experienced this. Ooh.
Ooh.
So I'm very skeptical when it comes to like ghosts, spirits, anything like that, just because I want to have concrete evidence that something happened. But there is something that is still really unexplainable to this day for me. And Mark, I may have told you about this one time, but for all of our listeners, this is about as close to a ghost story or unexplained event that I'll be able to be able to talk about because I actually experienced this and I cannot understand or explain as to why it happened. So, instant instance number one was I was at my condo in Mokina, and this is a day after my mom died, and she gave me a crucifix, and I put it up to just make her happy. It's like, okay, I'm going to put it up. I don't care, whatever. So it stayed there for however long I'd lived there. Hadn't budged, moved, anything like that. Now, this is the day after that my mom died. I'm sitting there at the stove making a can of soup. I remember specifically what happened. And the crucifix fell. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, why did that thing fall? And I'm trying to be like, hey, did you stomp on the ground or anything upstairs? I didn't hear anything. I'm talking to my wife. She's like, no, why? And she's like, well, the crucifix fell, and that thing has not budged a centimeter this entire time that I've lived in this place. And she's like, come on, stop it. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm not trying to be creepy or anything like that. So I put it back up and I tried to hit the wall and make it move. And I tried to stomp on the ground. I ran upstairs directly above it and stomped on the ground to see if it would fall off. I took both of my hands and basically rattled the wall that was right next to it just to try and get it to fall off. Nothing. Would not even move slightly off of the little pedestal that it was. So very, very weird, right? So very unexplainable. And I couldn't figure out as to how or why it fell because nothing was actually moving at the time. So that's unexplained experience number one. Shortly after, I would probably say about maybe 3 months after my mom had died, we go up to bed, and this is I am now at my parents' house, living there, and we go upstairs. We're the only ones living there at the time. It's just my wife and I and my son, my oldest at the time, who was maybe 4 or 5 months old. And we go to bed. All the lights are turned off in the house, pitch black. I wake up the following morning, and it's like really early, maybe like 3 a.m. The baby was crying, and I see like the lights on downstairs. And I'm just thinking, like, why did she need to go downstairs, and why didn't she just turn the lights off? Because my wife is getting back into bed. I wake up again at 6 o'clock to get ready for work, and I said, like, why did you turn those lights on out there? She's like, I didn't turn those lights on. I thought you did. It's like, no, you're the one who got up for the baby throughout the night. And she's like, no, I didn't turn those on. I thought you did. Like, I've been laying here the entire time. So I said, get the baby, come back into the room, and just wait. So I thought that, like, oh no, something, maybe we left a door unlocked or something like that, which I know we didn't. I know 100% fact that we did not, because it's the middle of the winter, so we wouldn't have even opened up any of those doors. We'd be coming in and out of the garage. Uh, I go downstairs, light, which a light that we never even just turn on when we're in the house, because it's one of those, like, those rooms that you go into only when company's there and you only turn on that light. And so I was like, why the hell is this thing on? So I grab a knife out of the kitchen and I'm kind of like walking around the house. Nothing seems to be disturbed, but I do go to the back section of the kitchen and the door is unlocked. And I'm thinking, like, oh shit, someone's in the house. So I tell my wife to call 911. And as she does that, I'm looking around. Nothing is out of place. I mean, my wallet was right there on the kitchen table and it was not even moved whatsoever. But I couldn't explain as to, like, okay, well, that doesn't, even if nothing happened, we would not have left that light on. We never had that light turned on to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to that door, open it up a little bit, and that door is one of those doors where it's like there's no way in hell you're not going to hear it open because it's just not greased and not lubricated at the joints or anything like
It's a
that.
squeaker.
Exactly. So I look out, and it's the middle of winter, and so it's just snow all in the backyard. There's no footprints. There's not even animal prints around that door. So I'm thinking, like, well, no one came in through this door. We would have heard it. I would have seen footprints. Nothing. I walked through every inch of the house, opened up every closet door, turned on every light in every single room. Nothing. The cop gets there, and the cop is just like, yeah, so what's going on? And it's like, yeah, you're going to think I'm crazy, but we went to bed. It was pitch black. We woke up and there were lights on in this house. And I explained the whole thing. And the back kitchen door was open, but there's no footprints. Have you heard anything about anything happening in the neighborhood where houses are getting broken into or anything like that? He's like, no, I've been on duty the entire night. Nothing's happened whatsoever. And so I was like, can you do me a favor? Just take a look. I have a feeling, you're not going to see anything because there's no footprints. He's like, well, I'll take a look anyways. Just as I thought, he says, like, yeah, there's nothing back there. Your yard is completely undisturbed. The only footprints back there are mine, meaning the officers. I was like, okay, I hate to bring you out here, and I know that this is crazy, but like, please let us know if you hear of anything else, because this is just undescribable, and not really a way to explain as to what happened. And so he's like, yeah, no problem. And I could just tell he's like, you fucking moron, you left the light on. But I swear to you, on my children, my wife, our marriage, that we went to bed and it was pitch black. And I tried to replicate, like, oh, maybe I had the light switch halfway up or something like that. Multiple tests, and yeah, no, nothing. So that is unexplained. And my wife was like, well, maybe it was your mom just trying to check in on us. And then I said, like, you don't understand. My mom would have been like, don't turn those lights on, save the electricity. So I know it wasn't my mom that
So what
was.
you're saying is there would have been like a dick candle somewhere that would have got lit.
It would have been some type of evil book or some type of witchcraft, not the ghost of my Filipino mom that would probably have been mad at us for leaving a light on, so she would have turned it off. So I don't know, but that's my story, man. I figured since we're in the month of October, and we're talking about some uh, magic and witchcraft and stuff that is just out there, I figured I'd share that with you and the listeners.
That's I tried to bring brevity to the end just to not be creeped out. Just to not be creeped out by random lights.
I mean, you tell me, is it fucking like,
No,
am I just stupid?
dude,
Like, you went
it's
to bed with the lights
listen,
off, man.
listen, it's creepy. That's happened to me, but the reason it's happened to me is because there was a power flicker. And for anybody that's listening that does like home automation, if you flick a home automation switch a few times, it just turns into a regular switch. Like it overrides it. And I've had it like the power go out and come back on and my whole house is lit up and I'm just like, what the hell? But it was not scary. It was there was a rational explanation where yours there's not. There's not.
I tried looking up and like Googling shit as to like what could have been the logical explanation of this. And maybe I
Solar
didn't
flares.
Google hard enough, but I really couldn't see anything as to what could be the explanation. So
I mean, I think that you're a pretty good Googler with your quick turnaround on Hocus Penis.
yes, yes.
So hopefully you're not on a work computer.
No, no, I'm not.
Then they won't. Then your search history is safe.
Oh man. But all right. So sorry. Thank you for entertaining and listening to the story. So I figured it was pertinent to the season, and I might as well be festive on this because my wife says I need to be more festive when it comes to holidays.
Well, I think that this entire episode is fan service for the wives. So they will be the only people that have made it this long through the episode as well.
I will not discount our international fans out there.
At
And
238, baby. 238.
Apple Podcasts, baby, Apple Podcasts. But thanks to all those who listen on Spotify, iHeart, and everywhere else. Amazon, Google. We love you all.
YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
So now that we've gone to the festive angle and the reboot angle and the up angle and the down angle and all of the angles of Bette Midler's teeth in these movies, I've got to ask you a very important question. It may be the basis for every conversation we've had on the internet. Can you do these movies all day?
It's a definitive no. But I will say that I would be open to watching the second one again. Maybe later on this Halloween season, or more preferably later on in life. But I have no interest in watching the first one again. I can sort of understand why people find it entertaining and fun, and there's entertaining parts, right? And I'm not a hater of it. It's just not my cup of tea.
would you at least add it to a Halloween rotation on a yearly basis?
No,
Mm.
no. But Mark, what about you? Can you do this all day?
I can do it in season. I wouldn't do it off season.
It's more than I would say. More than I would say. And you're talking about both too, right? Both movies?
Yeah, I don't care. I'd watch this movie like I watch Elf, only between the beginning and the end of the month of December.
Oh man, but Elf is good. Elf is so good.
I mean, I use Elf as a reference because it's a child's movie. There is a list of films that I watch every December, year after year after year after year after year, and I'm guessing that at some point they'll be discussed on this podcast.
You never know. You never know. But hopefully you had fun talking about our Hocus Pocus theme today. And stay tuned, all you listeners. We're going to be back to follow up with our October Scream theme. Next time, we might be talking about something a little animalistic, but got to tune in next time to find out. But until then, I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger, and that's Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Subscribe and like on your favorite podcast service, Apple Podcast. If you have any kind of Apple device, subscribe, download, leave us a review. Reviews would be awesome. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter. I Can Do This All Day Podcast or ICDT All Day Podcast, respectively. Love some fan interaction. Love some thoughts on your favorite movie of the season. If you also have been touched by a ghost or have had things thrown across the room or fallen off the wall or lights coming on and off or just felt a heavy presence, we believe you.